2025 NBA Summer League wrapping up in Las Vegas on Sunday night. Con Kneppel and the Hornets taking on the Kings. For all the Summer League glory, Charlotte able to stave off a late comeback from the Kings to win their very first ever Summer League championship, 83-78 your final. The Hornets number 4 overall pick, Con Kneppel leading the charge, scoring 21 points, grabbing 5 rebounds, and Kneppel named Summer League championship game MVP. All right, with the 2025 NBA Summer League now in the books, time to take stock now with CBS Sports NBA analysts John Gonzalez and Noah Buono. Noah, I'm going to start with you. This championship game, congrats to the Hornets. Big win in the summer. They pick up the hardware for the Summer League, but let's be realistic. Between these two teams, Hornets and Kings, are there guys on either team, let's start with the Hornets maybe, who we could actually see when the games matter?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the championship game MVP, Con Kneppel. He is the guy in my mind. That's why they took him at 4. And I said this a few days ago, that they drafted him for a need to surround him with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, because you saw what he can do tonight with the playmaking, the shot making, the aggressiveness. He's just a smart player too. And then the timely shot at the end that pulls them away from a 1-point game to a 4-point game. He would be my number 1 guy next to Ryan Kalkbrenner, who they took in the second round. Those two guys are going to play pivotal roles for this Charlotte Hornets team, who could maybe make some noise in the Eastern Conference. But what better Summer League basketball can you get? A great game, good performances. Maybe the Hornets will be lucky enough and hang a banner because it's their first. I don't know how serious they'll take it, but if they want to, that will be cool.
Yeah, Noah's right about that. I don't know about the banner component, but the 2 players that he mentioned for the Hornets, Con Kneppel looked pretty good tonight, 21 points. He's a guy who's going to have designs on starting alongside LaMelo and Brandon Miller. And then Ryan Kalkbrenner, he's got an opportunity here. I mean, he showed me a little something this Summer League where all of a sudden that center position is kind of wide open because they got rid of Mark Williams twice. First, they traded him to the Lakers, undid it, and now he plays in Phoenix. And then they also got off of Yusuf Nurkic. So now you've got a couple of veterans, Russ, in front of him, and Mason Plumlee and Moussa Diabate. So maybe they go with Ryan Kalkbrenner. If they don't go with him as a starter, at the very least, he should be in line to get some minutes. And then I want to throw a name at you from the other side on the Kings. For sure, Nick Clifford, he didn't look great tonight. His semifinal game wasn't great, but in the Summer League, he did look pretty good. He's 23 years old. He's one of those older rookies who they traded up to get at number 24 out of Colorado State. He could be a guy who joins that bench unit of Keon Ellis and Malik Monk. And the other guy who really impressed me here was one of their G League kids. Was on the G League champs last year, Isaac Jones, undrafted. He had a big semifinal, went for 36 points against the Raptors, and then tonight, 24 and 11. He's a big body. I think when they get into training camp, Russ, that's a guy that they're going to have to take a look at and look at maybe about joining him onto the main roster. And, you know, who knows if he gets rotation minutes or not, but you have to at least give him a look because he had a really good Summer League.
All right, by the way, what I would give to be an old 23 one more time. I'm just saying. All right, let's broaden the scope. John, I'm coming right back to you here. Throughout all of Summer League, who's your biggest riser amongst them?
Yeah, it's one of the older guys right now. So for the rookies, a lot of them got shut down. The same thing happened with the second-year players. But Kyle Filipowski out of Utah, everybody's talking about Ace Bailey. What I want to see with the second-year guys when you go to Summer League is you can't just, like, blend into the shadows, right? You got to step forward and show me something and pop, right? You have to be somebody who is aggressive in these games. You should be dominating these games. And I thought Kyle Filipowski looked fantastic. He was the leading scorer in Vegas at just over 29 points per game. He shot 59% from the floor, 39% from 3, and he did it on 23 attempts in 8 games, which breaks down to almost 8 3-point attempts per game. So I thought he was looking really good. Last year, he averaged just 21 minutes as a rookie. He's going to get a big uptick. No John Collins. He plays for the Los Angeles Clippers now. So I think he's going to get all the minutes he can handle. And again, as a second-year player in Vegas, what you want to see is really somebody who's aggressive, who steps forward, who takes control of the games, who makes you notice them. All those things, check mark for Kyle Filipowski.
Yeah, and what John is saying about Kyle Filipowski is exactly how I feel about Drew Timme, who not his second Summer League, technically his third, but I don't really count his first because he was on a roster with the Milwaukee Bucks that had 20 guys on the team, and there wasn't much opportunity. But if you go back to the start of this calendar year, Drew Timme has been dominating any NBA-level type of competition, G League, Summer League, to the point where he has proven that anything but the NBA is too easy for him. And I'm not saying that to say that that means he should be on an automatic 4-year deal, guaranteed 25 minutes a night. That's not what I'm saying. He should just be on only an NBA roster, because you go back to where he is as a player, the smart IQ basketball, like in my opinion, he is one of the 450 best players in the world. There's no doubt about it. And we watched it again in those 3 games. And honestly, I'd take it a step further. He's one of the 50 smartest players in the current NBA ecosystem in terms of the playmaking. You can keep him as a hub out on the perimeter and literally run everything through him. The interior scoring and touch that he provides, just this overall natural feel for the game, is one of his most underrated, underappreciated qualities. And not to mention, the Long Island Nets were 2-14 before acquiring Drew Timme at the end of the new year. And with Drew Timme on their roster the rest of the season, they went 17-12. He was scoring 30-point games, triple doubles. He had a 50 ball. Like, then you get him into this summer league setting, and it really just looked like his own version of organized pickup, and everything was going to be done his way. Who, by the way, he was the second leading scorer behind Kyle Filipowski. So I can rave all day about Drew Timme, and I'll leave you guys with this. He won 121 games at Gonzaga. So that's just doubling and tripling my point about how much of a winner this guy is and how smart he is. So what combination of guy do you want in your locker room? Do you want a guy that's not a proven winner and not a proven IQ guy? I don't see how he doesn't solidify himself. I know he's on a non-guaranteed two-way deal here this coming season with the Nets, but somebody needs to just keep him only on an NBA roster at some point or another.
And if somebody signs Drew Timme to that guaranteed 4-year deal, some points need to be coming Noah Buono's way. I'm just saying. Big opportunity for everybody in the Summer League to make themselves look better. But it also gives the opportunity to maybe not shine the best light on yourself. John, who was your biggest faller in Summer League?
Yeah, that's a great point, Russ. So like I said, you want your second-year guys to pop. You want to notice them. Well, I noticed Dalton Connect, but not in a good way. Second-year players, again, should be crushing Summer League. He had an awful California Classic before he even got to Vegas. Couldn't get a shot to fall. And he wasn't that great in Vegas either. He had one big game against the Spurs where he had 25 points, and he got hot in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, that shot didn't look good. You can see the numbers there. 24% from 3, 32% from the floor. That's not great. In his last game against the Celtics, he had 8 points in 30 minutes. I mean, look, this is a guy, when they took him last year, Russ and Noah, they took him 17th, and everybody was talking about, the Lakers were talking about, oh, he's the steal of the draft. Well, all of a sudden, the season kept going, and his minutes started to dip. He fell out of favor with JJ. They traded him to the Charlotte Hornets after half of a season. They said, no, thank you on Dalton Connect. They only got him back because Mark Williams failed his physical. If you're Dalton Connect, you had to come into this Summer League thinking, I got to be lights out. I got to be knocking down every shot. The Lakers are a team that desperately needs shooting. Every team needs shooting, but especially the Lakers. And you would have thought, man, this is an opportunity for Dalton to Connect, to put his hand up and go, look, rookie year wasn't great. I know JJ wasn't my biggest fan, but look at this. Look what I've done in Vegas. And now he's leaving Vegas. I don't know, maybe he should stay there, party a little bit, because he left there. And I just could not believe that, like, Dalton Connect, of all people, has to be really concerned about, man, I don't know what I'm going to do now going back to the Lakers. He's not going to be getting rotation minutes, I wouldn't think, after this performance.
Yeah, I don't know how to one-up you with that, because I couldn't agree more. But I'm actually going to take a little hybrid approach here with Derek Queen and the New Orleans Pelicans organization as a whole, because if we remember on draft night, they trade up 10 spots and they get rid of an unprotected pick, send it to Atlanta, so they can draft Derek Queen, who in the Summer League tears a ligament in his wrist and needed surgery. And if you do the math on this 12-week timetable that he's going to be out, the surgery was July 18th. 12 weeks later, that puts you at October 10th. So he's going to miss training camp. He's going to miss the preseason. He's probably going to miss the start of the regular season. It's just a disastrous way for the Derek Queen era to start in New Orleans after the organization took such a big risk, because that unprotected first-round pick is favorable to Milwaukee or New Orleans. So I would make the bet that if Giannis, assuming he stays on the Bucks, is going to lead the Bucks to a better record than what the Pelicans are going to have in a loaded Western Conference with a roster that you have no idea who's going to show up. They're like a really nice Ferrari that every time you leave the shop, the check engine light just goes right back on. You got to turn around and bring it back. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to be in the lineup. This New Orleans Pelicans roster, if you go back to all the guys they've drafted and traded for, all injury-riddled dudes. Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, DeJounte Murray last year. And then the guy that they trade up 10 picks to pick at the end of the lottery can't even make it out of the summer league without an injury. So it's really unfortunate. Obviously, we hate injuries, but just because of how big of a risk this was for New Orleans to do, I have to look at that injury and the Pelicans organization as a whole, and more so blame them for them being my biggest faller, especially heading into the season.
Going into Summer League, I think we all, and when I say we all, I mean we all sports fans, wanted to see what Cooper Flagg looked like, the #1 overall pick, and we got a look. We got one look. He looked great. And then the Dallas Mavericks were like, we've seen enough. He's done with Summer League. Cooper Flagg, the leader right now as far as best odds to, or shortest odds to win Rookie of the Year. You got Cooper Flagg or the field right now, John Gonzalez.
I'm going to go with Cooper Flagg. He's the heavy betting favorite for a reason, right? I mean, that first game that he played, he was all over the place. He had an awful shooting night. He said it was one of the worst games of his life. He came back, and in that second game, he had 31 points. And as you mentioned, then he shut him down, right? And look, I think he's the real deal. He's going to be an immediate impact player. Jason Kidd is going to throw him right into the rotation as a starter. And also, the Dallas Mavericks basically have one guy on the team right now who can dribble in D'Angelo Russell. So because Kyrie Irving is out with an ACL, he's expected back maybe around the new year. Maybe he comes back before that. But because of this, you're going to need somebody else to have the ball in his hands. And they've already discussed having Point Cooper Flagg as an experiment as you're waiting for Kyrie to come back. So he's going to get all the opportunities he can possibly handle to shine. So him versus the field, I mean, who are some of the other guys, right? Dylan Harper. It's a crowded backcourt situation with De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. VJ Edgecombe, same thing. Crowded backcourt in Philly with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. Con Knippel, we saw him today. He's a guy that could maybe make some waves. Maybe a Trey Johnson in Washington, but yeah, I'll take Cooper Flagg all day, every day. The Vegas odds are what they are for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Cooper Flagg over the field because there's a wide margin between his talent and the rest of the field. But I do have one probability stat that makes it interesting if he's actually going to win the award, because if you go back to the 2000 season, the last 26 years in the NBA, only 6 Rookie of the Years have played in the postseason, and none of them were the guys named LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama. None of those dudes made the playoffs their first year, and I think the Mavericks are going to be competing for one of those top 8 spots. So can he be a guy that has not as big of a usage rate as a Victor Wembanyama in his rookie year? Like, he had 32% usage rate. I don't know if Cooper's is going to be that high as a rookie when Kyrie Irving, maybe early on, but when Kyrie comes back, it could be different. But you might look, if you want to play a safe play, and go, oh, maybe Ace Bailey or Trey Johnson, who are playing on objectively non-playoff teams that do win Rookie of the Year because the runway is deeper. But I do just think because Cooper's talent is so much deeper and bigger than some of those guys, that he is, regardless of that probability stat, the safest play for Rookie of the Year.
John Gonzalez, thank you so much for reminding me. I made believe that Cooper's first Summer League game didn't happen. No Buono. John Gonzalez, thanks for making us all smarter. And here's a look at some important upcoming dates as the preseason begins. October 2nd in the NBA, and then opening night, the floodgates open October 21st. For the 2025-26 NBA regular season.
Stand up, Charlotte, 7:04. This is your time to shine. From South End to South Park, Beatty's Ford to Cotswold, your Summer League champions are the Charlotte Hornets. They're bringing home that crown for the first time in franchise history, thanks in part to some good play from Con Knippel, the 4th overall pick in this year's draft, scored 21 points to help the Hornets knock down the Kings 83-78. Hornets win a perfect 6-0 in Summer League play. So now they are your 2025 champs. That follows up last year when we saw the Heat win it, with the Cavs coming in 2023. And of course, Summer League always a great jumping off point for rookies and those young guys in the league to try to make a name for themselves. And that's what we're going to do. Talk a little bit more about some of these big time players. And for that, we bring in Cameron Salerno, who is tapped in with us. We're going to have you, Cameron, put on your professor hat. So I'll call you Professor Salerno for this segment, because even though it's summer, we have to give some grades out. So let's start with the big-time rookies. And instead of maybe Cooper Flagg, we've got to give a nod to the guy who is a Summer League champ, and that is Con Knippel. Mentioned those 21 points he had in the championship game, but it's not like that was the only good game he had. What grade does he get overall for the summer?
I would give him an A. I mean, his first game, he struggled, and it was uncharacteristic. He was missing free throws. He was missing open shots. And that was unusual because if you watched him play at Duke, you knew that he was just one of the best shooters in college basketball and also one of the best free throw shooters. So he shot, I think, 3 of 6 from the free throw line in the first game, and I think went 1 of 8 from the floor. And he really bounced back. And I thought he was one of the best rookies at the event. He was on first team all summer league for me in the ballot I put out earlier this morning on CBSSports.com. And, you know, he is the perfect connected piece for what Charlotte wants to do with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. I know people talk about his defense, and I thought he competed on the defensive end last night and throughout Summer League. And I was really impressed with his shooting. He also hit the dagger 3 that kind of sealed the game when Charlotte was up by 1 and Con hit a deep 3. So really impressed with how he bounced back. For me, I thought it was unusual that he struggled as much as he did in the first game, but I knew that he would bounce back just because that's the kind of player he was at Duke. Like, he is the perfect role player, and I talked about this earlier too, because he knows how to play his role and he knows how to scale up or scale down when need be.
Yeah, I lived in Charlotte for 4 years, and I know just how hungry that city is for a winning team when it comes to the Hornets, because it has been a very long time. So we go from Con to his college teammate and Cooper Flagg. Of course, we're to talk about him. A small sample size, but what type of grade does a #1 overall pick with the Mavs get despite the limited time we saw him play?
I gave Cooper an A- because the first game he really struggled from the floor. He shot 5 of 21, but I talked about this earlier too. He was getting to his spots in the mid-range. His motion is just really, you know, he's able to get to his spots in the mid-range area, and I was really impressed with that. And, you know, he was missing shots, but they were good shots. And then the second game was a totally different story. He dominated on both ends of the floor, finished with 31 points, and that was enough for me because he did get shut down after the second game. And I think the Mavericks were like, we don't need to see any more from Cooper. So I thought he played really well in the second game. That's why he earned such a high grade despite only playing in 2 games and also struggling in that first game as well.
Yeah, we'd heard Jason Kidd kind of mention at one point how they wanted to challenge Flagg and see if he could run the point and run the show, and at least they felt good about it to let him just have those 2 games. A rinse and repeat for Dylan Harper as well, because he only played in 2 with the Spurs. Does he get a passing grade from you?
Absolutely. He also gets an A- for me. I know I'm maybe an easy professor, but
That's what it seems like, Cameron.
He did enough for me to earn that grade. Like, he was on minutes restriction in Summer League. He got to the rim, and that was his calling card at Rutgers. He was able to finish at the rim at one of the best levels in college basketball despite being only a 6'6" guard. And I'm very intrigued by what this fit is going to be in San Antonio with Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and De'Aaron Fox. And, you know, kind of rewind to memory lane. I mean, let's go back to 2020 when the Sacramento Kings selected Tyrese Halliburton in the first round of the NBA draft with De'Aaron Fox already on the roster. And ironically, it was when Fox was almost due for a contract extension, which is the same timeline Fox is on as he's set to hit free agency next year. And I'm very curious how they're going to be able to coexist in the backcourt together. I know they probably will play with each other in some situations, but I would imagine that Dylan comes off the bench for at least the start of his rookie season. But I thought for me, Dylan did enough for me that he earned an A-, and I was really impressed. I know he didn't play in the California Classic and only played in 2 games in Las Vegas, but he did enough for me, like I said, to earn an A-.
Yeah, Professor Salerno, if we're giving out grades despite, you know, you're not even giving a full sample size of the class, I needed you when I was in college because that would have helped my GPA even more. Something to help Philly is a story that has happened so many times. Injuries and their stars, and it's already touching over with VJ Edgecombe because he was not able to make it the whole entire summer despite his efforts to play through that wrist and thumb injury. What grade do you give him?
You're going to be shocked, but it's going to be an A- for VJ too. I mean, he only played in the 1 game in Summer League, and it was because of a wrist injury, but he also played in the Salt Lake City Summer League, if you remember right, and he had probably the best game of the entire event. He had 28 points. He had 10 rebounds. He was slashing to the rim. He was playmaking. He was playing defense. He is one of the best athletes in this class, and I'm just extremely impressed with VJ. I've been very high on him ever since he got to Baylor, and like I said, I think he's the perfect piece that you can play next to Tyrese Maxey. I know he talked about how he kind of wanted to play point guard, and I'm very curious how much he plays on the ball in Philly, at least his rookie year, especially when you have ball handlers like Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey already there. But I also think VJ is more than capable of playing off the ball too. He showed significant signs of improvement at Baylor as being a three-point shooter and kind of creating his own shot. And I mean, the slashing is like, you know, it's self-evident. And let's make a bold prediction, and let's look back on this in maybe 5 years. I would be shocked if VJ is not competing in the dunk contest at some point. I think he has the stuff to win a dunk contest in the next 5 years. So keep an eye out for that.
Writing that down, July 21st, 2031. We will revisit it when Professor Cameron Salerno said that VJ Edgecombe will be in the slam dunk contest. We will revisit that. I am sure of that, because it's going to live online forever. Someone that hopefully will be able to live and play for a very long time, if you ask Utah, is Ace Bailey. We talk him first because he was a lottery pick, although I'm just going to say, me being a Florida Gator grad, I root all the time for Walter Clayton Jr., but we didn't see a whole lot of Bailey either, because the way he played, that whole arrival to Utah, that gets a ton of exposure. But despite that, on the court, what grade does Bailey get?
So I would give Ace a B, because, like I said, he didn't play in Las Vegas. His only sample size were those 2 games in Salt Lake City. And there's 2 plays for me that really stood out for Ace, and I thought they were really positive plays. One was an offensive rebound where he put it back up and slammed it home for a dunk. And the other one I thought was really impressive. It was a shot in transition. He went out to the corner and hit a no-dip 3. So there was moments that Ace really showed that, hey, this guy can be a top 3 potential player in this class. But I don't think he did enough for me to earn an A- or an A. If he played in Las Vegas and had a strong showing, I think it'd be a different story. But Ace, like I said, is the most polarizing player in this draft class. I think he is the biggest boom or bust prospect in the entire class. His shot diet is something that people have talked about for months, and he is one of the best mid-range jumper shooters in contested situations. He shoots better when people are defending him in the mid-range than when he's wide open on catch and shoot shots or when he creates his own shot off the dribble. Ace is going to be very interesting in Utah because there's so many young players in Utah who are starving for opportunities and wanting to get minutes, like Walter Clayton Jr., who I'm very high on. I think he's going to be a very good player for Utah because, you know, Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton are both gone, so that opens up a ton of point guard minutes for Walter Clayton Jr. But Ace, you know, I don't think he did enough for me, and even though it wasn't in Salt Lake City, I want to see him compete in Las Vegas against the big boys, but obviously I think he was dealing with an injury, so you can't really help that. So I'll give him a B overall, but I definitely would want to see him play in Las Vegas, and I don't think we'll get to.
I think if Professor Salerno was giving out a B, that means you have a lot of work to do because you've been very friendly with all the grades you've given out so far. One last grade to give out, and this is not a lottery pick, but it's to Nick Clifford of the Kings because he was so good that we have to ask about his game and his grade, and it's fair to give an A here because the people need to know just how solid of a run Nick just had.
I gave Nick Clifford an A+, and you know, he is someone for me who I thought was the steal of the draft for the Sacramento Kings. He just does a little bit of everything. He can play make, he can play defense, he can rebound, he can defend, he can shoot. There was even moments last night when he struggled in the Summer League Championship game where he hit a fadeaway shot that was just incredible. I think he plays in control. I think he's smooth. I think he can scale up his role. I think he can scale down his role. He can get to the rim. He can shoot. He can create his own shot. There's multiple instances where he hit a nice mid-range turnaround jumper that really kind of wowed the crowd. So I thought the Sacramento Kings got a steal here. And kind of going back to the draft night as well, the Kings didn't have a first-round pick coming into the draft night, and it was the worst-kept secret around league circles that the Sacramento Kings wanted to trade up into the first round. And I know that Nick Clifford was one of the players the Kings targeted, and so I think, you know, Kings fans should be very excited. I know it's kind of a crowded backcourt with, you know, score-first guards like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk, but when you have a guy like Nick Clifford who can come in right away and can play a role and doesn't need to touch the ball 20 times and take take 20 shots like, other score first guards some on the roster. I mean, you have someone who can contribute right away to an NBA rotation.
Yeah, the Colorado State product looking like he might be league ready already based off of all of his summer league action. Professor Cameron Salerno, thank you so much. Giving out those grades for the rookies following the Vegas Summer League stint, and now we'll wait for training camp and the season to start come October. And then later on, summertime is when all the fun begins, because that'll be NBA Finals. And it's the Thunder who are the big-time favorite to run it back, sitting at plus 230, followed by the Cavs and another team in the East, and the Knicks at plus 800. First team in the West is the Rockets, and don't forget about my Magic, 17-1 to win the title.